Okay, so we have now reviewed our factoring when we can try and get this leading coefficient to be a 1. Either it's already 1 or we factor something out like a GCF to get us that 1, or what happens when we can't get 1. So today's assignment is going to have a combination of those type of problems from 11.3 day 1 and 11.3 day 2. So first we look here at number 1. We have 7, 6, and 1. So there is not going to be a GCF because they also don't all have an M in them either, so I can't take that out. All right, so then I identify my sum and my product. So my sum is the middle number, which is 6, and my product is -1. So the only thing that's going to multiply to give me -1 is 1 and -1. But we notice 1 and -1 doesn't multiply to give us 6. So this is when we have to use that trick where we check the inner and the outer of our parenthesis. So here and here, I have to have something that multiplies to give me 7m squared. So the only thing that multiplies to give me 7m squared is 7m and 1m. Don't have any other choices there. Now I just have to decide where I'm going to put the -1 and +1. So I put my 1's in here. I check my inner and I have 1m. I check my outer and I have 7m. If I need to end up with a +6, I just need to subtract 1m. And this came from here, so I make that one negative. The 7 came from the outside, so I make it positive. So my answer is 7m minus 1 times m plus 1. All right, number 2. I first look for my GCF. This one does not have a number in front, and they don't all have a variable, so there is not going to be a GCF. All right, so then I identify my sum, my middle number, my product, the last number, and I'm trying to think of something that multiplies to give me 10. So I could use 2 and 5, or I could use 1 and 10. So I actually can make 1 and 10 give me -11, so that must be the pair I'm using. If I need to get -11, I need both of these to be negative. A negative times a negative would give me +10, and -1 minus 10 would give me -11. So those are my numbers. I just plug them into my parentheses. I just needed n squared, that would be n, and then I'm going to plug in my -1 and my -10. All right, last one in this row. First, I'm looking for my GCF. So I'm looking here, 3, 10, and 7. No number that's going to go into those, so no GCF. So I identify the sum and the product, which would be -10 and 7. Well, the only thing that's going to multiply to give us 7 is 7 and 1, and that does not multiply to give us -10. So we're going to have to do what we did over here where we check the inner corners and the outer corners. So I'm going to go ahead and make my 2 sets of parentheses. I have to have 3k in the front. The only way to get 3k is with 3k and 1k. Then I need to plug in my numbers, 7 and 1. I check the inner, which gives me 7k. I check the outer, which gives me 3k. And I can make that give me -10. I just need to make both of these negative. So my answer is 3k minus 7 times k minus 1. Now, if I would have put the -1 here and the -7 here, my numbers wouldn't have worked. So remember, we won't always guess the right way on the first time. All right. So a bit of a word problem here. It says the area of a rectangle is represented by this expression. Factor to write the expression that represents the length and the width of the rectangle. Well, remember, to find the area of a rectangle, our formula is length times width. And right now, they gave us the area. So we just need to plug in what we know, which is the 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. And then we just need to break it down to the two pieces, so the two factors. So all they're asking us to do here is factor. So anytime you're given a word problem, they're still just asking you to factor. So first thing I look for is my GCF. So I've got 3, 16, and 5. There's nothing that's going to go into those numbers. My sum is negative 16, and my product is 5. The only thing that multiplies to give us 5 is 5 and 1, and that does not add to 16. So we're going to have to use our inner and outer rule. So I'm going to make my 2 sets of parentheses. So to get my 3x squared in the front, I'm going to use 3x and x. And then I'm going to have to plug in my 5 and 1. So I check the inner, which gives me 1x. I check the outer, which gives me 15x. And I can make 1 and 15 give me negative 16. I just need them to both be negative. So 3x minus 1 and x minus 5 are the length and width. Oops, sorry, I didn't realize that wasn't on there. Of the rectangle. And there we go. So again, remember, if you are ever given a word problem like this, it still is just wanting you to factor. Don't let it throw you off.